Okay, welcome. I'm going to make a little video on the Flying Iron Spitfire, just so when I don't fly her for a while, I have something to go back to. I'll post it as public, but please know that I'm new to Microsoft Flight Simulator. I'm an experienced pilot. I'm an Air Force pilot and an airline pilot. I'm 175 years old, but really enjoying playing with Microsoft Flight Simulator. I bought all three Flying Iron airplanes, just a shout out to them. Flying Iron, this is the Spitfire, the P-38, and I just can't say enough about those airplanes. I'm going to be at Goodwood, Chichester Airport. It's made by, I bought the enhanced map by Burning Blue, so $20. The Goodwood Airport was RAF West Hacknet during World War II. It was an emergency airfield. It's been used extensively. Grass strips. As you can see, there's only 3,200 feet at its longest. I'll be using runway 3214. My intention is to do a start, which is always interesting for me, a takeoff to a closed pattern. The internet says that the airfield's 112 feet, so I'll be flying the pattern 1,000 AFL, which would be 1,112 feet, and final approach at 90 miles per hour. The Spitfire's airspeed indicator is in miles per hour. Gear speed about 160, flaps about 140. See how I do. But anyway, as I mentioned, new to this, should be fun. So Chichester, by the way, this is the English Channel. This is Normandy. 5 beachers that we landed at as allies are right in here. And Chichester, Goodwood is right here. So as I mentioned, it was an emergency airfield. It's been used by the RAF a number of times over the years. So here we go. Fly. See if we can get these bad boys started. It's always interesting to start these engines on this thing. I'm sure some guys have better luck, but I put the airplane on legacy mode, and they used to be that the mixture you started at idle, and instead now it's at full. It seems to help. Also, there's a fuel pump. I couldn't get the wobble pump to, here it is. This is the runway we'll be using. 32. Here we go. Here's the airplane. Beautiful, huh? Okay. So we run the checklist for the start. Checklist. For starting engine start checklist. Parking brake set. There's a parking brake. If it wasn't set, it would look like that. That's set. Set. Take that item. Battery on. Battery's behind the throttle. It's kind of weird. You can't find it anywhere in here. But if you move the throttle, watch this gear light, down light. As you move it forward, up, turn the battery on. If you're one that wants to see it, there it is. Battery off, battery on. So it's on. Turn the throttle to idle. Battery on. Prop control forward. So we got mixture, throttle, and propeller. Propeller all the way forward. So battery's good, props forward, fuel tank's on. These are the fuel tanks. Can't get at it, but unless you move the stick out of the way, or certainly you could get rid of the yoke temporarily. Turn that fuel on. There's 3 fuel switches that are kind of confusing. This is fuel tank pressure, which you use above 12,000. You could turn it on if you wanted. And then down here, there's a little fuel pump that, honestly, I've been having trouble with the wobble pump, which I'll show you, but when I turn this fuel pump on, it works better. So I'm going to turn it on. Fuel switch on. It's down below here. They used to have us put the cabin airfill to the normal, and it's normal for taxi and stuff like that. You turn it on for takeoff, but the other way the air does, dust doesn't get in during ground operations, start taxi takeoffs. It's not on here anymore. I don't know why. Fuel tank's on. Tick the item. Mixture idle cutoff. Now you see here it says mixture to auto before start, full forward. That used to be at the end, but now it's up earlier. I found that's helpful. Throttle about 1/2 inch. Right about there. Wobble or boost pump. Here's the wobble pump. It says you click it like 10 or 15 times, and that low pressure light back there will go out. We'll see. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. One other guy clicked it real rapidly like this. Never really have had much luck getting that to go out with the wobble pump. And that fuel switch used to really help. Let's go mixture all the way full forward. See if that helps. Yep, that does it. So mixture full forward. So if I were you, I probably would do this mixture up here. Primer. This doesn't last long, so you got to kind of get to it. So we're going to do a primer. We're going to open up these starter coils. Doing this because you unlock it by twisting the mouse. It says under prime, then you 2, 3. The book says it depends on the temperature. It's somewhere between 5 and 9 or 10 to get it primed. They don't seem very concerned about the actually. There it is, primed. Then take the item. Starter boost coil switches are open over here. Mixture auto full forward. We already did that. Our little trick. Magneto's on. Magneto's on. Starter boost engaged. Take that item. Now we probably already lost our primed. It's primed. Starter boost engaged. You're supposed to push these together, but the flying iron made it so you could just hold it in the middle and get coil and boost engaged. Now what happens is it loses its prime while I'm sitting there talking. So still got the fuel pressure light out. It's not primed. Get it primed again. This time, give it a couple more for good measure. Let's try it again. Come on. Oh yeah, baby. Sound of freedom. Alright, throttle idle. Alright, let's do the checklist. Takeoff checklist. Elevator trim, 1 bar, nose down. So elevator trim, right here. That's good enough. Rudder trim, slight right bias. Rudder trim, slight right bias. That. Click those items off. And the rest we'll figure out. Runway's off our nose. We're going to taxi to the right of this cone over here. Parking brake off. Now, they take off and land with the canopy open, probably for ground evac, or maybe so they can stick their head out. I don't know what it is, but it's hard to see. I'm going to turn it off. Shut the canopy, rather. Close the door. Lock the handle. Go up here. Close the canopy. It's better. Okay, back to the cockpit view. Little power. Book says around 1200 RPM to get going. There's runway 3 clear final. Final's clear. Go down to the end. There's only 3,000 foot runway, so a little bit about simsmanship. I'm new to this, but I'll tell you, I think you can teach a new pilot really bad habits in Microsoft Flight Simulator by trying to salvage poor approaches. So if I get messed up here on final, I'm going to go around. Alright, so come to a stop, tapping the brakes. If you hold the brakes too hard, the nose hit and dig the propeller in. Park the brakes. See how we did. Little cock to the right, aren't we? The left, rather. All right, so a little bit about taking off. Little aft stick, little right aileron. Bring the power up real gradually. Looking at the boost, which is down here to the right. Make sure the parking brake is off. Where is it? Parking brake's off. Okay. Bring the power in slightly. I got to correct a little to the right. They talk about doing S-turns on taxis. A little bit on takeoff just to stay between the cones. See the white cones? That's how they're marking the grass airfield. Bringing the power up ever so slightly, ever increasing the rudder and the aileron. The tricky part for me is when the nose comes down, not letting it lift off right away. Hold it down, bring the power up, around 10 or 9. Positive rate, trying to track out on center line. 320 heading, gear up. We took off no flap, which is what you usually do. We talk about the power settings up to 17 on the boost for takeoff. Really 8 or 9 works on these crash slopes. I let the thing get up about 200 miles per hour. Then I'm going to do a left-hand pattern. Remember, I'm going to level off at 1,112 feet. So I'm going to roll out on about a 140 no-wind heading, kicking bottom rudder to level it off. We're about 1,050. There's runway head. That's a reciprocal heading. So 140 is our no-wind heading, and I'm looking for 1,112 feet, right about there. I put that manifold on the horizon. There's a runway off to my left, bringing the throttle back down below 60 miles per hour. I want 160 miles per hour before I put the gear down. Trimming nose up. There it is, below 160. Talk about below 140 for the flaps. Go full flaps. Flaps are either up or full. There's no other intermediate positions. I'm a little low by about 40 feet. Bring the nose up. Check my position. Hard to see the runway, but it's out there. Can I see it now? Let's start our final turn. Looking for 90 knots eventually. We start off, we're 1,000 AFL. So we'll start off with about 500 foot per minute down. Here's the runway over there. There's a little grass slip strip. Airspeed, altitude, glide path. If I get myself out of whack, I'm going to go around. Looking for 90 miles per hour. I see the runway. Grass strip, a little hot, we're doing 100 miles an hour. Roll out here, shallow of the bank, go to around 10 degrees of bank. So I get on final, about 108 miles an hour, slowing down to 90, a little power back, trimming nose up. There's the runway. Now on final, staying aligned is not easy because of the visibility. The nose is so long. So you almost got to either push it down a little, kick in a little rudder, see how you're doing. Constantly checking. A little hot, 110. Not giving up on center line. Whoops, getting a little bit left. A little hot. Center line looks good. Over the tree line. Right rudder. To bring the flaps up, puts more weight on the mains. And now I'm going to start tapping the brakes, maintaining center line, tapping the brakes, tapping the brakes. If you really slam on the brakes, you'll dig the propeller in. Doing about 20. So let's see how we did on the center line. Not bad. So now I'm going to turn around here, do the same thing on runway 14. So I'll be doing a 320 no wind heading on downwind. So nice and easy. If I have to use brakes, differential braking here. Tap on the left brake. It's turning without much power. That's good. Line up, get on pattern, 1,112 feet. Easing the power, a little aft stick, right aileron, ever increasing as the power right now, there's -6, -4. When the nose drops, I want to push forward on the stick a little bit and put into right aileron. Okay, getting up around 7 or 8. Lift it off a little early. Okay, gear up, positive rate. Got about 8 on the boost. See how we did on the center line. I went to the right. Not great. Alright, trimming nose down. Looking for 200 miles an hour. When I get to 200, that's my technique, by the way. There's 210. Bring the power back a little, probably to about 0. About 2. And I'm going to level off at a little bottom rudder, level off at, bring that manifold on the horizon, kick the rudder down. Looking for 320 no wind heading. 320 no wind heading. That's a 360. That's not a good heading. There we go. It's 1,112 feet. There's the runway. Roll out on a 320. It's 330. 320, nose on the horizon, the manifold on the horizon, trimming up. Below 160, gear down. 1,112 feet for 1,000 pattern. Below 140, full flaps. It's actually a tab that drops up on the right window, on the right wing, if the flaps are fully down. Okay, we're below 1112, we're down about 100 low. Bring the nose up, bring the power in, looking for 90 knots. So this time I want to do a little better airspeed control on the base turn. Get up to 1,112 feet. You see the end of the runway out there. Flying the 320 no wind heading. So if we had a lot more wind, we'd put some crab in out here, but we don't. At this slow airspeed, trim it up. Big gear down, flaps down. Alright, there's the end of the runway. Starting my turn. Let's try to do 90 knots all the way around. Power back slightly, looks like about a -4. Sinking about 500, probably pretty good. Looks like we're coming around nicely. 95 knots. That's 5 knots hot. Let's try to get it back. Nose up. Remember, if we do a bad approach, we're going to go around. Shallowing the turn. I feel like I'm a little flat. Runway in sight out there. Bank it up. Now we're getting a good view of the runway. Airspeed. Foot runway. Not a lot of room to play around here. Lining, kick in a little rudder to see where we are. Looks like we're close to center line, maybe a little right. Could also lower the nose a little. Alright. A little bit of right rudder. There it is, looking pretty good. I'm trying to control my airspeed, a little hot. Over the tree line. There's the runway a little right of center line. Landing assured. Flaps up. Weight on wheels. Tapping the brakes. Tapping the brakes right and left, looking for those runway markings on the side. The white runway. Oh, there we are. To the right of it. Correcting. Down around 40 knots. start it off down here. All right, parking brake set, cockpit view. Fuel off, mixture off. Fuse sets off. Nice. Battery off. Well, magneto's off. Okay, and parking brake is set and battery off. Throttle to idle. See how we did on the checklist. Approach doesn't really have a shutdown checklist. I wonder if Flying Iron has one. Let's call theirs up. Checklist. After landing, flaps raised, parking brake set, idle, throttle, idle cutoff, fuel off, magneto's both off, battery off. Okay, looks like we did it. Pretty cool. Hope you enjoyed that. See ya.